Okay, so I believe we are now back into regular session by streaming live on YouTube. So entertain a motion to go back into regular session from executive session.
I'll make a motion to go
Made
back
by
to.
Teresa,
Second.
seconded by Bill. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
So making a note that we took
Right.
no action in executive session. We basically just discussed the security issue that Teresa will do some research on, and brought our new member up to speed on some open space acquisitions that are in process. Next item on the agenda, natural resource manager. Teresa, do you want to talk about the Pearl Bach property?
Okay, so again, I sent out a summary of where we're at, and that issue just goes, you could write a book on that property, right, Tom?
Yeah, I've got emails going back a long way with that one.
I have an email on the file from John Anglace dated 2002 to like Terry Jones and Harriet Wilbur, the former chairman of the Conservation Commission. And at that point, he was suggesting a fence way back then. So that shows you how far back it goes. So anyway,
Wasn't
so
that far back.
huh?
Wasn't that far back.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this last year with COVID, I mean, things had gotten bad, but this last year, everything exploded everywhere, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
And I started getting calls, and what happened?
I'm sharing
Oh,
the
okay.
screen of your email.
So, okay, good. So, yeah, and I went out there and took a look, and it really was a disaster. Carloads of people were driving up, and everybody would get out with their barbecues and their coolers, and the whole family go down, and they'd be carrying infants, and it's a really, really steep slope. And they were going down there, and then the driver would drive away, and he'd park. I've been told they were parking at the sports center, and then, the driver would walk back in, and it was car after car after car. The whole place was trashed. There was yellow caution tape up. We put a bunch of no trespassing signs. None of that did anything, of course. So at some point, John Anglace did say he thought he had a source of funding. There is a fund for Pine Rock Park. And so he said, look into a fence. And he asked my opinions on, how high should it be? What should it be? The black coated stuff? Where should it go? And we went from there. And as a result, we do have a fence in now. And I think it's an improvement.
Oh, yeah, it's very attractive.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm just jumping between things.
Yeah, I saw the ad for Jones Family Farm on there.
Yeah. I'm
Right.
working.
Subliminal.
We're at work.
There is a gate.
Wow.
John,
You're still on the clock, Tom?
No, but I'm at my work location, so multiple
I
screens mistakes. I actually went by the location on the weekend, Teresa. It looks great.
good. The neighbors are just ecstatic.
Yeah.
They seem to be. Everybody, this is like a dream come true.
The fence I think is the appropriate height, being higher so they can't climb over the fence. I think the way you tailed in on the side that would be the east side that tails into that property owner near the driveway is great, and there's certainly enough signage there to know what's going on. And I think like you say, a couple of azaleas or mountain laurels planted in this wood chipped area would be a nice aesthetic. So,
I mean, there is a gate, and John's idea is that the gate would just be for emergency purposes. I was kind of hoping maybe someday in the future, maybe during the off season, the gate can be opened, because otherwise there's really no way for fishermen to get in, or, people from the neighborhood who want to go in. But let's say it's October, November. I don't know. We'll see.
So for everybody's benefit, this is not coming out of the Conservation Commission's budget.
No.
This is coming out of what's known as the Pine Rock Fund. So back in time when the landfill was nearly getting towards its point of being capped, there was a gas leak that migrated across River Road underneath the old Lenny's hot dog stand. And long story short, the city came to a settlement with CRRA for a couple $100,000 to be placed into a restricted fund that would benefit the community of the Pine Rock Park. Now, Pine Rock Park is not really defined on any city map as here's where the boundary is, but generally it's the area that you would think of Pine Rock Park if you've ever been down there. I mean, there's the pond area that had aerators in it, and there's a little park space there for children's playscape. And then everything on that side of River Road pretty much is Pine Rock Park. I talked to John Anglis about it. The way that the fund works is that there's a homeowners association, not that they pay any fees into anything, but there's a homeowners group that tries to organize the collective owners of that area towards a consensus. And they don't have a president or vice president that's elected or anything like that, but they do have a couple people who are the leaders of the group. But when it comes down to the expenditure, any recommended expenditure has to be approved by both aldermen of that ward, and then they present it to the Board of Aldermen. So there has been very few uses of this fund, but it's still, I think, over $200,000 is in the fund right now. So just so that you're aware that it's not coming out of the Conservation Commission's budget for this to be done.
Why can't people walk into either of the neighbors on both sides and just do the same thing?
Go through their driveway? As a matter of fact, somebody, as soon as this fence got put up, somebody actually did. I got a text from John Angles. He says, you wouldn't believe where I am right now. I'm down at Pine Rock Park, and there's somebody drove in along the side of the road. The boulders had been they'd been redone, and there was a little bit of a gap. They drove their car in between the boulders and parked right in the open space, and then to go fishing went and just walked around the fence and went down somebody's driveway.
Wow.
And, their car was towed.
Yeah,
Good.
just so that you're all aware, I haven't been down to that Pine Rock Park area in a long time. They've got signage on every street that it is
No parking.
is by permit only.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
you'd have to work pretty hard to have made the mistake of parking somewhere there.
You would.
Okay, next item on our agenda, also Teresa, the Pine Lake. I'll do another screen share for you so you can talk about that. So this is on Route 108, Pine Lake, near where the rec path starts. On the other side, there's this small pond.
Right.
Teresa, you want to talk about how the mayor asked you about that?
Yeah,
property?
this is just an FYI. So right, the mayor did instruct me to look into getting some quotes to remove the pines and so forth. He did ask me right off the bat, is this something that needed to be done? And I said, not for any ecological reasons. It's just a matter of aesthetics. And so he said he wanted to have that cleaned up. And so I originally proposed cleaning up that section to the east that's all upland. There are a lot of downed pines. It is quite a mess in there.
Right.
And
Right.
sent it back to him, and he said, no, he also wanted them out of the water.
Is that an easy task?
Huh?
Is that an easy task to get?
I don't know how they would do it. So that's something I'm looking into. And first I wanted to touch base with John Cook at Inland Wetlands, because that is definitely a wetland disturbance. These are really, really big pine trees, like some of them are like 3.5 feet diameter, and they've been in there a long time.
They've been in there for
rotting.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even know. Let's see, look at the size of that thing.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you do that.
Well, I think you probably could, but yeah, when are you gonna put a free firewood sign after you get it out?
Well, they're pines.
Nobody
They can't even
wants-
I
burn.
know, I'm
Rotting
kidding.
pine?
obviously.
No.
No, but I drove by there today. It aesthetically, it is pretty disappointing. you know, you look over there and you see all these branches sticking out of the water at various angles, whatever. So
Yeah,
I always wondered if the water would look a little, because that has been years and years and years and years. And when you go over there, the water's like, you just wonder if that would help the health of the water if the trees are out of it, because they're very acidic.
no, actually, the trees are a form of habitat that's beneficial for fish and other types. I saw, actually, I
They're
watched
just so
people take a nap on one of them.
Aren't they very acidic though, the pine? Like,
No,
it's
no,
not like,
they're fine.
Okay.
That's actually like if you're a fisherman, that's where you want to go, you know, if you're trying to catch a bass or something,
Well.
go and fish right next to that.
Yeah,
But
the
you have
fish are gonna hide off in there.
macroinvertebrates and so forth that, you know, are feeding off of that wood and they're part of the food chain. So like I said, it's really a matter of aesthetics, which is subjective. And if most people think that's a real eyesore, then, you know.
what's
I-
hard about it is if you clean it up, it's going to open up to more people going there to fish or disturb it. Like right now, nobody really disturbs it because it looks unkept, like there might be a mosquito village, and versus once you
Right.
clean it up, it's going to invite, you know, like what you were just talking about down in the Pine Rock area.
It's a backwater, you know, it's kind of a counterpoint to the other side of the road. You've got Pine Lake, which is all surrounded by highway and road, and the rec path, it's completely surrounded, whereas this little piece here is kind of a little forgotten backwater. And that's why I saw the beaver there taking a nap in the middle of it, because nobody was going to bother him because nobody goes back there.
John Cook had sent me an email, Teresa, that had some of his initial commentary on that. Were you a recipient of that?
No.
Okay, I'll send that along to you. Basically, if I were to distill it down, if there was a need to remove trees like this that are, you know, in a obviously it's for aesthetics, that there would be some, they could be removed readily. But when you're talking about something that's like this, that's in the water and providing a habitat, or you're looking to remove trees that are existing, that there need to be some inland wetlands permitting occur. So I'll send that along to you, but
Yeah, well, I have that one.
okay.
Right, so when I met with John out there was a smaller one. If you go to one of those other pictures I sent out, by that one, okay, if you stop right there, the one that's closest to the road, he said that could come out and that just be, you know, something the small one, right? No,
Okay.
yeah, that thing.
Yeah,
That could come
right.
out, and that's not, you know, that would not require anything before the Wetlands Commission. But if those really big ones had to get pulled from the back because they're so huge, that he thought that should go before Inland Wetlands Commission.
Okay.
So what are we being asked here?
You're not being asked anything. As I said to begin with, this is just an FYI.
FYI, okay. All right, so we have no input or advisory on this whatsoever.
Well,
My understanding?
you're an advisory board. I mean, you can always have an opinion, but I'm not asking for a review or anything.
Did anybody ask us for our opinion?
No,
Okay.
sorry.
That's fine.
Nobody asked
Well,
for
the
my
mayor,
opinion either.
What's that?
well, the mayor brought it to your attention and, you
Well,
know, asked you
the mayor instructed me to get some quotes.
to, right. So,
Those trees must weigh a ton. They're soaking wet.
I think this is something in the past Dean would have done, but Dean has a different job now, so I guess he's not doing that.
as I found out today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you did too, Jim, I think.
Yes, I did. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Moving on.
So
Trails
wait a
Committee-
minute, let me get, the reason I bring that up before we go off that. So I don't want our budget being spent for those purposes is what I'm getting at.
oh,
So that's where I thought you were headed that direction.
I
with
hadn't even
getting
thought of
quotes, and then that money will come from our budget. No, that's not, the trees stay. You can take a couple trees out for aesthetic purposes, but we're not cleaning out these ponds of rotting pine trees, and it's coming out of our budget, period. That's just the way it is. Okay. So let's be clear on that. That's all my advisory part of this is.
My commentary on it is that these ponds, both sides of the road there, have silted up so much that there needs to be some attention given to the catch basins on our roadways. And I can speak of this, knowing this, like on the farms near the road, they're not attended to. They're not cleaned out regularly. And once you've filled up the bottom of your catch basin with silt, any silt that runs into that is going right into the stream or tributary that it's feeding into, and it just silts them up.
I mean, most of that was road sand that
Right.
isn't getting used anymore.
Yeah.
But I know I would love to see that get dredged out. And at one of the CACUAC conferences I attended, there was a session on, dredging out ponds. And by the time I got out of there, I thought it would take an act of Congress to get anything dredged. It is so onerous in terms of the regulations to get anything dredged out now. It's just.
Well, I'm looking at it from a city infrastructure maintenance. I came across a catch basin on one of the roads near the farm where it was sand right up to the very top of the grate. Now that just doesn't happen in one rainfall.
Right.
It tells me that hasn't been attended to for years. So.
Yeah. Well, typically the towns and the highways departments are on a rotating basis of every so many years. They clean the catch basins, they hire an outside company. The company comes, unless the town has the machine, they suck it out, they do the vac system, and they clean all the catch basins. And it's usually on a rotating basis. And I don't know what Shelton's is. Maybe they don't do it. But in other communities in Fairfield County, the southern areas of Fairfield County, they are on a rotating basis to have this the companies come and vac clean their catch basin. So it's an inquiry. If somebody's concerned, you should call the highway department. That's their purview. It's not ours.
Noted.
Well, I will point out that silent waters would be silent swamp if they didn't build that weir, and which we asked them to raise it up, and all the trees that died have now floated in. So the water in silent waters is probably 4 feet higher than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's nice. I like that. Yeah.
And it's a lake. It's really
nice.
there.
There's a nice habitat
absolutely
back there that's created.
correct.
Moving on to Trails Committee report. Bill Dyer, give us an update about the barn.
The barn foundation is fully in. It was completed today. Actually, Jim and I happened to show up at the same place today, and they put the 6-inch pipe around and brought it down. I brought a bunch of rocks down, and they put a big hole there, and hopefully
Bill's whipped them into good shape over there. He's got this thing 1, 2, 3. It looks nice.
Well, it's moving along very well. Tomorrow at 7 a.m., they're going to come in to bring in all the posts and beams for the barn. And I would say by Friday night, unless it really gets bad, the entire structure will be up in terms of the framework. I mean, it'll be that 3D drawing we see where you could move it around, just the structure. So, and it'll, next week they should be able to, bring in the sides, the windows, the roofing and all that. So all it will need is a weather vane.
Well, don't hold your breath on that. This guy's got to do a fire truck first. So
Okay. But anyway, so I bought a couple of, motion detector lights to put on the back, just to, I met with Chris Patusek, the head of maintenance for Shelton at the mayor's request. And we do have a UI put in a post right across 108. The mayor wants the electricity brought down to the bottom and trenched over to the barn, which is fine. We thought originally just bring it over with wires, but so Chris is working on that aspect of it. We're gonna look to put a little HVAC unit on the second floor. We won't be meeting when it's 100 degrees or when it's 2 degrees, but something that would allow us to meet, on more normal days, either heating or all electric, so we won't need any propane or oil or anything. Terry and Mark are working on the fit ups, a term I'd never heard of until 2 days ago, which are basically the things that you hang the various equipment from, the shelves and that sort of thing. And so we're going to work with Chris Patut on that. Sherry, we were thinking maybe your brother could help us vis-a-vis painting, just with some ideas and maybe a ladder or two or whatever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My brother Jim. Sure, I'll check it
Jim,
out.
exactly. So yeah. So by conceivably a week from Friday, it could be all built. And the nice thing is, as we talked in the Trails Committee, the old barn is going to still be there, and we're not rushing over. It's not like we have to move out or whatever. We're thinking that maybe the garden committee or whomever, we hate to see it torn down because it's probably was built right around the Civil War, so it's got some. We did find one of those devices where you pour molten lead into it and you close it up and you make a bullet like they used in the Civil War. Of course, we gave that to the historical society. But anyway, things are moving along quickly, so we're very pleased. We are.
Bill, one thing that we probably should do is the weather vane. We had some discussion about the weather vane itself between meetings. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the weather vane as shown in that illustration. I'm doing a screen share. We found the artist in New Hampshire, Don Felix. It's approximately $700. So I make a motion that weather vane be obtained from our current budget.
Love it.
Is that a second, Jerry?
That's a second.
Okay.
I thought we were all going to sort of chip in. No,
There may be some contributions, of course, yes. But
Okay.
I'm just
Good.
authorizing that this is how we're going to do it from our
Okay.
budget. And then if we supplement it by donations, that's fine too. But just formally putting on the record. So,
Very
and all
good.
in favor?
All right.
Terrific. Thank you. Moving on, the Shelton Canal Locks project. Jim, do you want to say anything about the locks and the river walk down in that area? Or do you want to wait for another month?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd like to wait another month. There's some things that are pending.
Moving parts.
There have been meetings,
Yeah.
and it's moving along, but there are some issues that need to be addressed, and probably has to go to the mayor first.
Sure. Okay.
Very good.
Next item on our agenda is applications for development. There was one application that planning and zoning took up, and I just want to keep everybody appraised on it. It's nothing that we're really going to take any action on, but I'll do a screen share here to bring you into the location that we're talking about. So Constitution Boulevard, coming off of Route 8, heading down towards River Road. There is the Ivy Brook Medical Center here. I think Griffin Hospital has some image diagnostic equipment at that. This is a PDD. And there was a little confusion. Teresa and I were talking about this. There was a conceptual discussion at planning and zoning about this parcel being developed into a residential element. This parcel here where the medical facility is located, only half of it was ever built. The other half of where they were going to put a building was cleared but never developed. The applicant is asking that the PDD property be subdivided because there is a private equity firm who's looking to, or real estate investment trust looking to invest in real estate property that's medical facility based. So they wanted to split the property so that they could buy just the parcel that has the medical facility. And then the remainder of the parcel, and I'll go back to the map view so that you can see that the remainder of the parcel could be developed separately. So with the PDD regulations or subdivision, similar to what happened down by the sports center where they had the medical facility that was split off, same kind of reason, real estate investment trust wanting to exclusively have medical properties. That subdivision of a PDD occurred there without any extra set asides like you would normally see in subdivisions. So I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed of some things that are occurring down there. The parcel with the PDD did have a conservation easement along the Ivy Brook corridor that parallels Constitution Boulevard. So there's really nothing for us to act upon. I just wanted to keep you appraised of a subdivision that planning and zoning is taking, but because it's a PDD, there is no open space set aside.
But could it become residential?
They have not said what they would like to do with the remainder of the parcel, but being that there has been residential occurring.
I would not surmise anything. I don't think you need to go and anticipate what somebody is going to develop or not develop. I think the purpose of the comment, or if I'm mistaken, is that you might want to remind the planning and zoning in a letter that if there are PDDs or if there is set asides that need to be enforced, then let's do it. Let's make sure we enforce set asides, but let's not dream up scenarios that may or may not happen. Because frankly, I don't see that being a logical situation right now. Even I don't see that happening one way or another because they would, whatever.
Yeah, I agree, Jim. There's enough in real life issues to deal with that we don't have to deal with the what ifs.
That's correct.
And on this PDD, they're not looking to expand the footprint of any development that had previously been approved. I mean, the proximity of it against the residential off of Karen and Sharon, is obvious. But the protections that were put in to be a buffer between the residentially zoned area and the commercial industrial area, that was already put in place with the PDD. So they're just splitting off that PDD into an already developed parcel and a parcel that has had site development occur on it, but was never followed through with its full development. So in essence, there's no real concern, I would say, of conservation on this because there's no change in how it's currently being have its future in terms of environmental impact. But it's kind of an interesting thing that's going on, and there's a lot of interest in that area. There's
a lot of interest throughout the city generally, by the way. So
true.
What does
explains that it's it's a new awakening in Shelton because Lower Fairfield County we're getting a lot of interest from Lower Fairfield County now up into Shelton as a place to come because of the lower taxes, and we seem to have a fairly speedy planning and zoning situation.
Oh, for sure. Sadly.
Yeah.
But what does
There's nothing wrong with being expeditious with addressing or administering an application, as long as all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So,
but it does bother me that in this town you can get a PDD with no open space, 10% dedication, but if you have a subdivision, you have to give it up And here we have a situation with the PDD, and they might say, oh, well, now we've decided this half of the PDD, we're just going to have building lots, but we still don't even have to have the 10%.
Well,
Enough said. That just throwing that out.
well, that's a good transition into our last item on the agenda, which is comments by members. So I'll just look at my Brady Bunch box here and go to the left of Bill and say, Jim, do you have anything to offer?
No, things are, I bring them up when they come up, so I don't need to do it here. So, yeah, as you know.
Sherry, anything to offer?
Not tonight.
And Teresa, anything from you?
I just remembered that we need more Shelton Lakes trail brochures.
Wow.
The wipe through that last box off the top of my head. I don't remember how much they were. But I might need a motion to purchase another. I wish.
Do you need them by like next month, or do you just want to get a price?
Well, we're out. We're completely out. So,
Well, we have a line item in our budget for expending for
Oh, yeah.
that
Right.
purpose. So I would say just go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you need
Alright.
an extra special motion for that.
Okay.
Right. I suspect financially we're in good shape with the end of the fiscal year coming up.
Yes, I attended as unfortunate as it was to witness the Board of Apportionment and
Oh,
Taxation.
Jesus.
And,
What a story that. Oh, my
um,
God.
So yeah, our budget is, we're well within our budget in terms of our expenditures for the fiscal year. And for Tom's benefit, the budget request that we have made to the finance department that goes to the mayor, he mirrored that out to Board of Apportionment and Taxation, and they mirrored that out to the Board of Aldermen. So our budget is pretty innocuous. We're very thrifty in how we expend our funds, and if we need to have some extra shuffling around between line items because we need to do an appraisal for a potential property purchase, the Board of A&T is the one who would do that normally, and we've had no issues in being able to transfer funds from one line item to the other. The one thing that does occur near the end of the fiscal year is most boards and commissions are given a notice that they should hold back on making any major expenditures as they come towards the end of the fiscal year, so they can make sure the books balance. So sometimes there's a restriction on that, but for what Teresa's looking to do, I think you can go right ahead. So,
Okay.
What is our budget?
geesh, what is our
40,
40,
46,
Six.
Yeah,
6,
yeah,
48.
40 something.
Yeah.
46, 48, somewhere in there.
yeah, it's
We're there.
pretty low.
Under 50 grand.
Right.
And then Tom, do you have any comments?
Nope, no comments tonight. All set.
Right.
Well, you didn't resign. That's good.
You lasted a meeting. Great. Good.
Yeah.
And,
It's long
You
term.
know, I
Did
had,
Well,
Did I join in vain now that I have to contribute towards
no,
one?
no, not at all. You'll find that although we are effective as as I said, we're advisory. So the only power we have is the power of persuasion. And from having served on this commission since 1998, and I think Jim, you preceded me by a number of years. I'll say a few years. But in any regard, our opinions that we give are consistent. We follow our open space plan. We are here to act as the environmental consciousness of the community, in essence. So that really doesn't play to any political party or persuasion. It's we're here to advocate for the community and volunteer like the Trails Committee is as we do. So we're glad to have you aboard to help in that endeavor.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
I have one comment that, as we were talking about Ivy Brook, my aunt passed away who was 98, and in her papers we found, and I found it while we were chatting, had a picture that reminded her of my grandparents' house was on the corner of Waybosset and Beecher. They owned that whole big piece of the pie like it was, and she wrote in her writing, this picture reminds me of Ivy Brook in the old homestead in the 20s and 30s. I just love it. We played in the woods all the way to Laurel Heights. And when I think of that being in the 20s and 30s, what my mom said, their mailbox was like all the way to Quorum Road. It just had to be a different world, because I went to Ivy Brook the other day for an ultrasound, and it just really, I can't picture what it looked like in her lifetime, because it was already being developed when it was my lifetime.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, trying to picture the past. I've been going through some old photos that my parents had, trying to organize some things, and they've lived in the same house pretty much all my life. I took my first step the day they moved into the house. So when you look at that neighborhood of Soundcrest and Stowe and Sound Ridge, of what it was like, it was all former orchards, and they built these lots just all square with planting pine trees on the property line borders, and it was you had a tremendous view of Long Island Sound. That's why they called it Sound Ridge and Sound Crest, and
Yep.
and how different it is today. So,
Yeah, same with Sound View. When I get to the top, when I'm going to church, and then you come down, there always, you see the sound, and I just think of the American Indians, like that was what they looked at.
well, with nothing more on our agenda, our meeting stands adjourned. So thank you very much, everybody.
Bye. Thank
Good night.